Well, when you look at what we were able to accomplish here in the city, we've outpaced the state in reading and math, got so much more to do. But also we're developing the fullness of our children, teaching them meditation, breathing exercises, healthier food to eat. So our children are not only academically smart, but we want them to be emotionally intelligent. And at the same time, what we have done in our educational system for 130,000 children in pre-K, 3K, the universal after-school program, and paid our teachers a darn good union contract to make sure that they're having the wage that they deserve.
My youngest child, Afterthought, went to a school with 11 languages in first grade. You have Ackman and Loeb, Wall Street's support. They talk charter schools. Can you reaffirm here a better education system away from union dynamics and the silliness of it all?
So important. When you think about when a parent drops their child off to school, they're not asking if it's a charter school, if it's a parochial, if it's a barter school. They want a quality education in a safe environment, and that is what we've produced. And union heads don't always speak on behalf of the rank and file teacher population. I know those teachers appreciate what I have done as the mayor and what this administration has done, and many of those teachers will be voting for me.
Mr. Mayor, what statement were the Democratic voters making when they selected Mr. Mamdani in the primary? Maybe here in New York City, certainly, but maybe even nationally.
Let's examine this, and I think there's something that has been not really understood. 9% of voters voted. 9%. 91%, they have yet to speak. 2.5 million Democrats, 1 million independents, several 100,000 Republicans. This is the moment when we're going to see what New Yorkers want. Do you want someone who defund and disband police departments? Do you want someone that's telling high-income earners to leave our city without understanding the economics that they bring? Do you want to stop our progress in one of the healthiest economies we've ever had and public safety? He wants to empty Rikers Island. 7,400 of the most dangerous people in our city. He wants to empty Rikers Island and have them come back to the communities that they offended. And so New Yorkers are going to be able to hear clear messages of what the future looks like and what that future looks like under him.
Current polling, slingshot strategies, have Mr. Mamdani at first at 35% of the vote, Governor Cuomo second at 25%, Mr. Sliwa at 14%, and you at 11%. What does that poll tell you, and what do you need to do to change those numbers?
It tells me don't listen to polls. Okay. 2021, they had me 13% behind Andrew Yang, 13% behind Andrew Yang, and we're not calling him
But you
Mayor
were not
Yang.
behind Governor Cuomo. What do you need? Have you spoken to Governor Cuomo yet in this turmoil?
Communicated with him several times. Andrew has a history of doing things when it comes down to African-American candidates. He did it to Carl McCall when he ran for governor. He did it to David Patterson when he
who spoke recently.
Exactly.
Blistering.
He did it to Charlie King when Charlie King ran for AG. He did it to Keith Wright. He has a history, and I think the difference
supporting or
not sabotaging the race and
okay.
trying to compel them to get out of the race. He underestimated Eric Adams, a former cop that knows what a bully looks like. And I am going to complete this race. My campaign has just started. I have not been campaigning. And not have an opportunity to speak to voters.
You're going to complete this. Let's be clear, folks, particularly for our national audience. Eric Adams with us here at this interesting time for the city and, of course, for the nation is, well, thank you for joining Bloomberg Surveillance on television and radio. Mayor Adams, but the critical distinction here is the timeline to the election. When does the Adams-Cuomo tension need to get fixed to come to an efficacious outcome for the people against Mr. Mamdani?
Think about this for a moment. Andrew knew that Mamdani was going to be on the ballot on the Workers' Family Party line. He knew that. He knew I was going to be, as a Democrat, on my own line. He knew that. So why would he also do an independent line? He created this scenario because he thought by doing so, he can force someone out of the race.
Are you saying that Andrew Cuomo created Mr. Mamdani's campaign?
He created this scenario that created an opportunity to divide the vote. instead of being unified around Mamdani. This was his creation, and it's typical of how he create these scenarios. We're not going to succumb to that. He had his chance, $25 million he spent. He got his message out. He didn't campaign. He didn't go out and interact with voters. He created it. Now it's time for me to have an opportunity, and we will win and beat him.
Has Governor Cuomo asked you not to run, or have you asked Governor Cuomo not to run at this stage?
Both. When he spoke, we both interacted, and I said, you should step aside for the good of this city. We both agree the city will move in the wrong direction under the primary winner, and I think he should do the right thing.
If he doesn't do the right thing from your perspective, would you run as a Republican?
No, it's Curtis Sliwa is the Republican primary winner. He's the winner of that party. It's too late to switch that right now. I'm going to get votes from all New Yorkers, because when New Yorkers want safe street, they're not asking if they're a Democrat or Republican. They want their streets safe.
The constant theme, Mayor, of our interviews and surveillance has been committed to talking about this debate with its national ramifications. And you mentioned it earlier. The New York Police Department, as a general rule, I'm speaking as an amateur, we're 3,000 down on the body count of the New York Police Department. What are you going to do day one on a second-term mayor to get the NYPD back to a forward motion?
Well, that urgency can't happen on the reelection. It's happening now. We're in the place to bring on 4,000 more officers.
By when?
They're starting now. We have a class that's in now. By the end of the year, we're going to be substantially higher. And part of the problem is a lot of the large classes, we saw attrition. We saw a lot of officers retiring. That is why it was imperative as the mayor that I settled a good contract with our union members.
Eric Adams with us here, the mayor of New York City. We welcome all of you nationwide. How you listen on your commute. Good morning, 99.1 FM in Washington, 92.9 FM in Boston, and of course, Bloomberg 1130 here in New York. On YouTube, our new digital platform, Mayor Adams watches every day. Subscribe to Bloomberg Podcast. Paul?
Mr. Mayor, let's talk about immigration. Right off the tip of Manhattan, we've got the Statue of Liberty. That means a lot to a lot of New Yorkers. How do you think about immigration in this city, and maybe how does that differ from what President Trump thinks about immigration in the city?
And you're right, that statue represents a lot, and particularly when you look at the fact that my 19-year-old uncle died to protect the right of being an American in the Vietnam War. But think about this for a moment. Coming here, you should not be inflicting violence on undocumented New Yorkers or documented New Yorkers. We manage a humanitarian crisis with 237,000 migrants and asylum seekers. Not one slept on our streets. Every one of those children were educated in our school system. And I'm going to coordinate with federal authorities to go after those who are dangerous, like the Venezuelan gang members we took down that were selling drugs, forcing women into prostitution who were undocumented. The law does not allow us to collaborate for civil enforcement. We won't do that, but we will collaborate to go after dangerous people.
I should mention again, good morning on Bloomberg Television with Katie Greifeld and Sonali Basak as well. Mayor Adams, here's a headline. I talked to Lauren Emmaus, and this is just so important within her expertise of this city. The LA Times, heavily armed immigration agents descend on LA's MacArthur Park. If I'm having a beverage at the Sunset Tower Hotel, I look across the opulence of LA to a really tough part of town. And the other day we saw military enforcement wrapped around these deportations and ICE marching across MacArthur Park in Los Angeles. If the critics to you will say you're in Trump's back pocket, how are you going to push against the president and his administration if we have those tensions in New York?
You know, one of the best saying is if you tell a lie long enough, you think it's true. But we need to deal with the facts here. We took this administration to court on things we thought were wrong more than any mayor in the country, more than any mayor in the country. But when I needed the president to lift the stop work order on a multi-billion-dollar wind farm project in Sunset Park, 1,500 union jobs, 500,000 homes would have benefited from it. I flew to Washington, had a healthy conversation with him. He lifted the stop work order. Same relationship I had with President Biden, 10 trips to Washington, 2 meetings with the president to deal with law enforcement officer. I nicknamed myself the Biden of Brooklyn. I work with presidents. I don't war with presidents. I have to deliver for the city of New York. And it would be irresponsible for any mayor not to do that.
But then the granularity of this election and this, it's like Lindsay in the 1980s or something. I can't keep track. Is Adams an independent, a Democrat, a Republican? What is he? We don't know this one. He's an independent. I'm kidding. Mayor Adams, my team is listening to this interview, and there has to be a clarification of your relationship with the President of the United States. When will we see that?
I think you're seeing it now. You're seeing a mayor that's defending and fighting for his city in a responsible way. New York City is the largest city in America. And if you're going to be the mayor of that city and you are unwilling to communicate with the President of the United States, if it's Biden or Donald Trump, if it's a Democrat or Republican, that's irresponsible. Governor Hochul went to Washington several times. Mayors across the country are going to Washington. And so for anyone that states that the mayor of the largest city in the country should not be communicating with the White House, that's irresponsible. You're not delivering for your city. I must deliver for New York. That is my primary goal, and that's who I respond to.
Mr. Mayor, in terms of delivering for New York City cost of living has always been a key issue.
Yes.
What is the plan? Is there a solution here? Because every day people keep coming into this island of Manhattan. How do we house them all?
2021, when I ran for office, the top issue was public safety, and housing followed that. The reason you're seeing other conversations come on the floor in this election is because we solved the public safety problem. You see, with Commissioner Tisch, we have the lowest numbers of
I will
homicide.
state, let me interrupt. I will state where I live, folks. I can state it's not as bad as it was 18 months ago. I still don't like it. But Mayor Adams, I'm going to cut you some slack here. It's better than it was 18 months ago.
4.6 million people take our subway system every day. We have an average of 5 felonies a day out of 4.6 million. These police officers are doing an amazing job of keeping us safe. But the issue of affordability, I know it so well. I grew up in poverty. The primary winner grew up in luxury. Yet that same luxury he grew up in, he's stating that we should not have a financial ecosystem. I want the person that drives a limousine to have prosperity in the city, and the person that sits in the back of the limousine. That's the city I want to live in.
The zeitgeist here, and again, Lauren is briefing me on this, is you came into office and there was this scandal, that scandal, that. I don't even, it's old news for me. It's water well under the bridge. But there's a zeitgeist now that you need to get a new team as the next mayor, maybe involving some of those people in limousines. You teamed up with Ackman, Loeb, and the others within the financial business. If the other guy's elected, Mamdani, where, John, are they moving to Coral Gables or to Miami? Which is it?
Both.
This is serious, Mayor, this is serious stuff. You've got a mandate for how many millions of people are under your watch?
8.5 million New Yorkers, 320,000 employees.
I want you to talk to the 100,000 fancy people in those limousines right now. How are you going to get them not to move to Florida?
Well, first of all, we're going to win this race. And in my reelection, we're going to continue what we have done. In New York, as we talk about this business channel here, we have more jobs in the city's history, more small businesses in the city's history. Bond raters raised our bond as they saw us navigate out of COVID, migrants and asylum seekers, crimes. When you take 22,000 illegal guns off the streets, 100,000 illegal vehicles that were used in current criminal behavior, you have stabilized the city. The economic stimulus package of the city is public safety.
Right. Well,
Mr. Mayor, given where the polls have you now, whether you believe the polls or not, what is your path to victory, do you believe?
New voters. 91% of the voters did not participate in this election. We have a substantial number. We're going to register 1 million new voters over the next few months. And everyone is talking about the excitement that is felt over the primary winner. What they're missing is the excitement that I am seeing every day of those who say this can't happen.
How do you run against Mr. Mamdani And
I'm sorry?
How would you run against him? How will you run against him?
You have to do it in layers. You have to look at the various communities. And when I say communities, I'm not talking about a geographical location. I'm talking about issues. I met with 250 bodega and supermarket owners yesterday. A government-run supermarket would devastate their business. I met with 250 of the 700,000 small property owners. Can you imagine telling a small property owner that you can never raise the rent so that your rent rolls no longer equal the repairs of the building? Those small property owners are going to lose their property. All of these different communities are now waking up and realizing what his policies would do to them individually.
I'm going to make this the final question and come full circle to where we were before. And again, thank you so much on Bloomberg Television Worldwide for being with us. The distinction of this campaign is the kid you were, and it was a train wreck. When did your life turn around? Well, how old were you when your childhood became you as a police officer? What was the age where the tipping point was?
About 19 years old.
The parents of that 19-year-old brat, whoever they are today, okay, they are voting for the tradition of Mario Cuomo. How do you get them to shift from Mario Cuomo's son over to Eric Adams? How do you get that conservative, black, public safety electorate to turn and vote for you?
Well, they voted for me in 2021. And remember this, as we reflect on this election, of my first job at 12 years old as a paper boy, then becoming a dishwasher, then working in the file room of Blue Cross Blue Shield, working in the file room of Pete Mitchell. That long legacy of blue-collar work is helping me understand the needs of the working class people in the city.
Mayor Adams, thank you so much for joining Bloomberg today.